Today on the Income Flip podcast, I've got my friend Charlie Einsmann with me. Charlie, welcome.
Well, thank you for having me. And like I said, I'm actually really proud to be here because I've been following you for a long time and we've been doing stuff for a long time and we've known each other for a long time. So I'm really happy to expand this relationship.
Same here, Charlie.
Yeah.
Like I think I've told you this. You're one of the good guys. I feel it. You and your partners, and I'm excited to have this conversation because I want our grid community to understand the origin story of you and your business and how you guys have built this unbelievable business today, and how we could talk about how we're paying it forward, right? How we're helping people getting started and building their life and building their legacy. And in our framework, we teach this framework at Grid called the 7 levels of freedom. At the very top of the pyramid is impact, and I believe that impact always comes by serving others in one way, shape, or form. Some people like to give to a church or their synagogue, or or somehow I love to teach the entrepreneur because I really believe that is my form of giving. Because it wasn't easy for me, and so if I could help them hack the system a little bit, they still have to get their own scars, they still have to learn their own ways.
I
But if
agree.
we provide some of the wisdom along the way, I feel like I've done my fair share, and I've always gotten that sense from you and your business partners, and so I'm excited to have this conversation.
Well, it's funny. I'm new to the 7. Would you call it the 7?
7 levels of freedom.
And the top is what?
Impact.
Yeah, that's where we're at.
Yeah.
We're impact.
Impact.
And I've got to tell you a couple things that what we're doing. And you talked about the scars, right? You can't avoid being successful without scarring. And there's a lot of scar tissue. And that's part of the fun, though. You've got to be scarred to have the fun and to understand because you learn more from the bad deals than you do the good deals. And for us on the giving back, you talk about giving money to church, giving money here, giving money there. The thing that I've recently launched, and is very hot off the press, is Clear Sky Sports Angels. So I just launched, matter of fact, through our friend Leo Pereira. His wife, she has a family foundation. I think it's the Pereira Family Foundation.
Yeah.
And so I used her to help me start it's called an operating foundation of 501c3. And what we've done is we've populated with about $350,000 to $400,000 in the foundation. The foundation is invested with the hard money company. The hard money company pays back a 12% return to the foundation. The foundation is set up to give money to disadvantaged kids to allow them to play travel sports.
Wow.
Yeah, and so we are called Clear Sky Sports Angels, and we're going through the logo right now. We're going through the branding. We're going through the launch. And the month of May will be the first month where we're starting to actually give money underneath that foundation.
That is so cool. That is
Yeah.
so cool.
No, it's beyond cool. It's the greatest. For me, I've done a lot of good things, and I've got, like you, I don't have as many students as you. I'm up to about 50 or 60, but giving back to the students is really, really important. But this beats the cake. This takes the cake because now I've created something that's in perpetuality, right? So this is going to survive me. It's going to survive Sam and anybody else. And what Sam tells me all the time is he goes, "This is your last party," which I'm like, man, that doesn't sound too appetizing, Sam. But you could be right. This could be my last party. This could be the last table that I pull up to because, my goal right now, it's at 350, the foundation. I want to get this thing to $2 million by December. I want to get it to $10 million in 5 years. So that once we partial off $10 million, right, the way the operating budget works is that the interest off the $10 million drives the charitable giving. So as the foundation grows, the charitable giving grows. So yeah, that's something I'm really excited about.
Well,
And
Charlie, let's let's explore how this all came about. Let's go back in time, right? And I want people to get a sense for who you are, who Sam is, your business,
Yep.
how you guys started. and what the business looks like today, and then we'll get to the foundation, and we want to support that foundation in any way, shape,
Yep.
or form. Like we've got GridCon coming up, in
Uh-huh.
3 weeks, and hey,
Yep.
this could be a good way for us to help raise money for the foundation. Like that, like let's do it, right? It's doing good.
Yeah, I would love that. As a matter of fact, it's funny because we came obviously to sponsor it as your hard money sponsor, but really at the end of the day, I would rather, and I know I probably won't do this, but I would rather promote the foundation than to promote my business.
I would absolutely love to help you
Be-
promote the business. We'll do both.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, because with you and Grid and most of your leaders and most of the people that attend, I have relationships with a lot of these people. So this is why I'm excited about this because, I've watched your growth over all these years and, it's exciting. It's great.
Well, same here on my side. Like I've seen what you guys
Yeah.
have built, and I'm like, I want to learn how to build it, right?
All right.
And I'm sure people want to learn how to build it. So let's go back, right? How did you get into the business? Walk me through the inception.
Well, I have an engineering degree, electrical engineer, and the inception began from my mom sending me care packages at college in Kansas City. Whatever reason, I'm in Kansas City getting an engineering degree. I'm on a full tuition scholarship. She's sending me all these real estate books. She's sending me Gold Mining and Foreclosures. She's sending me one up, the Robert Allen book where he was in St. Louis. He took some people off the homeless line, teached them how to buy properties, no cash down. And this was back in the day when you could assume VA and FHA mortgages.
Okay.
So he would take somebody, find a distressed asset that was either a VA or an FHA mortgage, assume that loan, put these people in there with no money down. And so she sent me all these different real estate books. So I started reading on real estate, started learning about it. And then I came out of college, had a lot of high paying jobs in the engineering field. But I always had my real estate license part time. I got it back in 1991. So I'm dating myself a little bit.
Okay.
So we've had the license for a long time, but I learned the real estate game from the retail side first before getting into the distressed asset space. So then let's dial it forward about 12, 14 years. I ended up quitting my engineering job because we started being successful at buying pre-foreclosures. And so the start of the game was into the distressed assets underneath the pre-foreclosure pretense. And a pre-foreclosure basically is a house that's getting foreclosed on, but it has a lot of equity. And so what we would do is we would reach out to the owners. We would brochure the house, we'd go knock on doors, talk to the owners, and we would buy the houses directly from the owners. And that's how we got started in the pre-foreclosure space back in 2002, 2003.
Oh wow! So you were in it before
Yeah.
the market really crashed, which is why
Oh.
when the market really crashed, then you were positioned.
Got a great story on that. Yeah, exactly. So we're dinosaurs, right? I don't know if you want to call me a T-Rex or you want to call me a raptor, whatever you want to call me. Maybe what's the vegetarian dinosaurs that are very harmless that eat? What are they called? Stegosaurus or whatever that. Anyway,
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah.
My nephew would be able to tell me. He
Yeah.
all of them. Yeah.
my grandson actually got one. And so what happened is that we were in the business before two things. Number one, wholesaling. There was no such thing as wholesaling. Right. You didn't put a house under contract to sign the contract to make a wholesale fee. You had to basically buy it, fix and flip it, or keep it as a rental. That was it. And then also, too, we were in the business before this thing called hard money lending existed. Asset-based loans didn't exist. So you had to really go through a community bank to get your fix and flip loan, which meant you had to put 25% down, plus you had to handle the renovation. Well, guys like us that didn't really have much money had to do it. Well, luckily for us, we both had houses and had a little bit of equity, so we got HELOCs on both of our houses, and we used the HELOC money as our down payment money for the fix and flips, and then we paid our contractors at the end of the game so that we didn't have to really come up with much of our money at the beginning. So then what happened was we started fixing and flipping a lot of houses because I started getting a lot of pre-foreclosures. And so we were buying them off market. Then what happened was along the way, we kept 6 rentals. So between 2003 and 2008, our favorite year, we kept 6 rentals. Here's what you got to understand. We bought these houses, let's say Dale City house. It was worth $400,000 fixed up at the time. We bought it for 70 cents on the dollar. 280, 250, whatever. We only borrowed 70 cents of the 250 from a bank to keep it as a buy and hold. So we're in there at LTV of 50%. So our loan is about 200 grand. The house is worth 400, right? And there's 6 rentals. So times that example by 6. So now we have 6 rentals. Well, we all know what happened in 2008, 2009. The market crashed so bad in Dale City and Woodbridge that the $400,000 house was now worth 100 to 125,000.
Yeah.
But now remember, I've got 6 loans at roughly 1.2 million dollars, right? 6 times 200, 1.2 million. Now the collateral is only worth 600,000, and I owe the bank 1.2. So we got to knock on the door. Hey guys, you got to reposition these loans. You're gonna have to come clean and give us 500 grand, 600 grand capital call.
Unreal.
Yeah, unreal. We were like, oh, okay, right? I'm like, okay. Sat there for a minute. I was like, uh-oh, what are our options? Obviously, our options aren't to pay the bank, let them maybe foreclose, or just keep paying the loans current. We were current. We were really current. I mean, we hadn't missed a payment in years. Tenants were paying us rent. We had positive cash flow. So fortunately for us, we were in the REO space. So we were we were agents as well. Not only were we doing fix and flips, but I was a normal retail agent. When you were doing Casa, right? You had Casa, we had Green Dot, right? So we were REO agents. We were lucky into the REO business. We had between 2008 and 9 and part of 10, between myself and Sam, we sold 500 houses.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so interesting because that's around when I got my license.
Yeah.
And I was toying with the idea of starting a team, like in '09 is really when we started the team. But I was more investor first, '07, '08. But I had my license. And, one of the things is I remember buying one of your listings on Night Lane, which, by the way, we just put a new kitchen into. We still own that property. But I couldn't break into the REO market. Just like you and Leo and other people had kind of like cornered that. And I then was relegated to the short sale game, right? And I became like a short sale king.
That's it. Because it was oversaturated. And the funny story about Leo is I met Leo when Leo was a Keller Williams agent. I met him at 5 Star in Dallas.
Yeah.
And he was a brand new agent. And I remember going through the whole REO business, introducing the people. Because, he was from Northern Virginia. I didn't really know him. I didn't really care because there was enough business for all of us to go around because we had just entered it. Luckily for us, we were at the right spot at the right time. So I met him at 5 Star Conference in Dallas. He probably remembers it to this day. That was back in 2008 or 9. I don't even remember. And so what happened is because we sold so many houses through the REO stuff, we were able to meet the $600,000 capital call because we made so much commissionable money. It was crazy how much commissions we were making. Matter of fact, the house that you were talking about, I can guarantee you I did not see it and I did not step foot into it.
Yeah, it was just like processing paper.
That's it. That's all we were. We were order takers. And it's funny because we were one of the first agents that anytime we had a listing on the bank-owned listing, remember the sign writers, the name writers on the signs? We had foreclosure on our sign writers. And so because of that, CNN picked us up. The Wall Street Journal picked us up. They all took pictures of our signs as they were doing these bigger and broader articles on the foreclosure crisis. And so we had our signs in CNN, Wall Street Journal, pictures. But even though the article really technically wasn't about us, they had our signs on there. So you had this foreclosure writer, you had Sam's broker information, and then you had my name writer underneath all these signs. Because Sam would refuse to put his cell phone on any of these 500 signs because he wanted me to get all the phone calls. I'm like, really?
He's like, you're the one that likes to talk.
Jesus Christ, yeah. I'm like, really, Sam? And so every day, I'm not kidding, from 7 a.m. until 11 p.m., I'm just answering my phone. I'm a note taker. That's all I'm doing. I'm getting email addresses, phone numbers, buy client information. And then what we had to do.
Data.
All this data, yeah. But then the best part is that, remember, it was just me and Sam. We didn't have any other agents. So we had a partnership with Weichert and another broker, and I just basically gave them all of our buy leads.
Oh, yeah.
And they gave us like 20% referral commission if they closed them. Yeah. Yeah.
Smart.
Yeah. It was crazy. No, smart, I guess, but we were absolutely overwhelmed. And then what happened was in 2010-ish, middle of end of 9, the banks stopped REOing all of their inventory. So all of the older properties, like the older Rustons, the older Chantilly's, the older Sterling Parks, the older Dale Cities and Woodbridges, they started dumping them at the courthouse steps because they realized that it was so expensive to REO these properties from a property maintenance standpoint, right? Preservation standpoint, that they said, forget it. We're just unloading these properties at the courthouse steps. We're selling them. We're dumping them. And so we were in that space. And so 2009 and 10, we bought about 60 houses at the foreclosure market at the courthouse steps because there was so many houses going and there wasn't enough bidders. And so that's how we really started building up our rental portfolio. We kept most of those houses.
Yeah, interesting, because at that point, it would have, from a fiduciary standpoint, like you had to list them, you had to put them on the market, you were just selling them. And I always saw that was the problem with the REO agent, was like, it was hard for them to buy their own product.
Right.
So we were then buying their product, like I bought your product. But what you're saying is, when that stopped, you just pivoted and went direct at the courthouse steps.
Right.
And you built a big portfolio of assets.
Right.
What a blessing. What I want people to hear is that money, and this is how I've always viewed it, is energy. And you've got to put yourself in the path of energy. People always look back and say, oh my God, 2008, 2009 was just like terrible time. 2010 was just terrible. But not if you understood where the flow of energy, AKA money, was moving to, right? Like REO agents made a lot of money. Short sale agents made a lot of money. If you're going to buy those assets, if you were an investor, it was going to make a lot of money. Remember when Warren Buffett came on and said, hey, when everybody's fearful, right, be greedy. And when everybody's greedy, be fearful. And
That's exactly right.
I was like, everybody's being fearful. I should probably be a little greedy, right?
Yeah, and you know, the thing about it is people always look back and say, oh, I wish I would have kept all these houses and this and that. And I'm thinking to myself, man, we didn't have enough capacity to keep all these houses. We were lucky to keep the ones we had, but we had a model back then, and this is kind of probably going to segue into something else, is that before the 100 times rents rule was really in effect, or the 1% rent rule, we were already buying at those rules before those rules ever came about, right? Because what had happened is that we were focusing on newer townhouses in the Route 1 corridor. However, remember though, the borrowers were in the subprime market, so they were paying like $3,200 in mortgage payment that they couldn't afford. But if the house was a newer townhouse and it was taken care of adequately, right, like the landscaping looked good, the property was respectful, what we did is we just kept the owner, the former owner in the house, we just converted them into tenants. So they went from a $3,200 payment, let's say, to about a $1,600, $1,700 rental. But we were picking those properties up for $150. And most of them were in really good shape, so we didn't have to do much renovation work. So we just converted the former owner into a tenant. And that was the model. And so that worked. And so,
you know, it's interesting. You should say that was the model. Like you thought that through. Like we did that. What we found was we didn't buy. Our assets were a little bit downgraded from that. Like think Four Seasons in Herndon, right? Like Cavalier Park. Those are the ones that we bought, and we were dollar cost averaging them from like 150, 140, 130,
beautiful,
120,
brilliant.
And then they started going back up.
But then what were your rents?
Oh yeah, $1,500 a month. We were hitting the 1% rule. Like I remember being like, "Hey, this asset value was $350. It's now $150. Rents are $1,500 a month. The tenants' mortgage payment was like $2,500 or $2,200. So like when they were renting our place at $1,500, they're like, dude, this is a bargain. Which is why everybody like in that community, those communities like dumped their properties. They're like, oh, I can rent this equivalent house next door for $1,500. Bye bye, right? And they were just like letting those assets go.
Well, here's another funny story too on that end, is we also during that time we had what's called a catch and release program. Okay, like fishing, catch and release. Okay, what we did is if the owners of the house, like we were doing some short sales too, but if the owners of the house, if only one of the people was on the mortgage, right? We would have the other person, the wife or the husband, whoever wasn't on the mortgage, we would have them go buy another house, qualify for it, catch the house, and then release the house that they were in, let it go to foreclosure, or we would short sell it. So they would catch the house, right? Because the other borrower who wasn't on the mortgage getting foreclosed on, they could come and qualify at a much cheaper mortgage because the houses were so cheap. Catch the house, release the other house. We called it the catch and release program. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. It's funny, but it's...
Yeah.
I mean, it's creative. And so one of the things that people are probably wondering is how the heck did we have the facilities to buy all those rentals?
Yeah.
Well, the reason was remember I told you there wasn't any hard money lending. Well, we had some relationships with community banks, and we had these what are called fix and flip lines. So they gave us these fix and flip lines once we established a track record of fix and flip, $1 million, $2 million lines or whatever. But then once we started keeping the houses, because they liked us so much, right? Because we didn't default on any loans. We were like the ideal, perfect bankable clients. They then started giving us what are called buy and hold lines. So they would do the same kind of thing. 75% they would lend against, 25% down payment. We didn't need to do much renovation because the properties we were buying were fairly new at the time. And so then we created this thing called a buy and hold line for us. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so that's how we were able to use the community bank relationships to leverage into all of these properties. And so we were, like I said, we were fortunate. But a lot of scars, $600,000 scar.
Yeah. Well, small price to pay to understand how to pivot, right?
Yes.
And pivot and then like, how do I take this lemon and make it into lemonade? And like, that's what a business owner does, like an entrepreneur does, like a real one. It's like, okay, here's this roadblock. Like, how am I going to solve this problem? How am I going to make it better? How do I take this bad thing that's just happened and just look at it as like interesting. Okay, it's a stumbling block on my journey, and I've got to figure out how to make it better. How did you get into? How did you become a hard money? How did you and Sam pivot? Like out of, I know you still own your brokerage, but that's not really what you guys do. Like you guys lend money, right?
I'm glad you asked this question. This is a great question. And you're gonna laugh. You're absolutely gonna laugh when you talk about energy and money and movement of money and all this stuff. Okay. So what happened was, but remember, we're buying like crazy. 2009, 2010, 2011, 12. We're going crazy at the courthouse steps. What happened was we had some folks intermediate into those auctions. The foreign money took over. Money from the Middle East took over. What they did, and I don't want to mention names, what they did is they compressed the profit margins at the courthouse steps.
Yep.
So we were like, we need to find another party. But not really actively looking for another party, but thinking about it. So one of the things I started doing was I started looking at buying distress notes. Instead of buying distressed properties, buy the distressed notes, buy distressed seconds, that kind of thing. But that was an epic fail. That went nowhere, right? I kept, trying to cash flow, whatever that guy in Texas that teaches the cash flow and notes, buy these notes at a discount, keep them and make them performing and all that, right? That never worked. That was an epic fail. Then what happened was, as you go to courthouse auctions, you get to know all the bidders, right? You know them. You know their families. You know because in between auctions, you're just talking.
You're just talking. You're just shooting.
Yeah. You're growing relationships. These are your competitors, right? And I never thought of it. So one day, I was in Prince William County. And this was October of 2013. And I know it because that's when the hard money business started. So it might have been September 2013 to be exact, but it's around that time frame. Guy by the name of Jimmy Nguyen. I don't know if you know Jimmy. He comes up to me and he goes, I'm telling you, out of the blue. And I've known him for a few years at this point. He comes up to me and he says, didn't even ask. He goes, hey, Charles. He would call me Charles, right? That's what my mom used to call me when she was pissed off. Hey, Charles. He goes, hey, Charles, you are going to lend me money. I said, okay. What am I going to lend you money on, Jimmy? He goes, I bought this condo earlier at the Fairfax County auction. Fixed up, it's worth $350. I bought it at the auction for $225. I don't really have any money. I gave him a $25,000, to buy the house, EMD, right? Mm-hmm. I need a loan for $200,000. I said, oh. I said, that's interesting. You know what I did? I just said yes. I said, okay, I'll give you 200 grand. I know it needs to close in 2 weeks, right? I said, okay, I'll give you 200 grand, and not knowing what in the hell I'm doing. I am not kidding.
That's how it happens. This is
But
how
at
it
the
happens.
time, Sam and myself owned a title company called Green Dot Title. So I was lucky enough that we had a real estate attorney. And so then another story was Restoration Capital. Brian Costell, I'll give him a shout out. Brian Costell at Restoration Capital was in the hard money business before us. Same with Leo and Daniel, Washington Capital Partners. Well, Brian had been trying to recruit me for years to be a hard money borrower on our fix and flips, right? Because he was recruiting all the courthouse bidders. And so I had met him a couple times. We sat down and had lunch. So the first call I made was, Brian, I got a loan. Can you help me with this? Can you send me a term sheet or something? Because I need to send Jimmy a term sheet to identify the loans, because I already had the real estate lawyer who can do the promissory note and deed of trust. And that's how our hard money business got started.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I was at the right place at the right time. However, I was open to other opportunities. We did have a pretty good capital stack at the time. And so we were ready to sort of move into something else, because, the rentals at that time, we had about 30 or 40 rentals. The rentals were marginal from a cash flow standpoint.
Yeah, while you got debt on them, they're hungry. They all need roofs and furnaces and HVAC, like the whole thing. And so you're just maintaining it.
That's
until it pays off the debt.
That's it. And so the cash flows were good, but it was marginal, maybe 10,000, 15,000 residual cash flow a month. But what had happened though, now these properties,
the balloon, the asset value.
Yeah. So we had all of this, what I call dead equity, sitting there. So then what happened was, once people found out, and this is why I never went on social media. Once people found out that we had a hard money company, that we were a hard money lender, guess how I got all my business? Word of mouth. It spread. And then people kept calling me, want money, want loans, want this, want that. And remember, all those competitors I had at the courthouse steps that I became really, really friendly with, they started becoming my customers. Yeah.
It's interesting. Our story is it's similar, but different, right? Like similar from the perspective of I was a little bit behind in my knowledge and education, but we still participated. I had a partner that essentially provided all the funds for these foreclosures. So I would find the deal, I would put the tenants in, I'd fix up the property, and then we would burr his money back out. Before it was called burr, we just take his money back out, and we would just do it again. And so we would just do one a month, right? That's what we were doing. It's just one a month.
That's it. That's all you need.
Yeah, I was doing one a month. And then I a critical mistake I made. I took my eye off the ball. I think I told you about this. I looked up and I'm like, why would I pay $150 for this asset when last year I bought it for $120? I started seeing the asset values climb, and yet the numbers still worked. And my partner and I we were conservative, right? We're conservative guys. We weren't gonna
But don't you remember, we were like, there's no way the market will go any higher. We're maxed.
I know. I've been calling a market correction since 2013. Okay. I was like, it can't keep going up.
It can't keep going up.
And so we kind of slowed our buying down when you ramped it up at the courthouse. And I started pivoting towards, I had met all of these investors who I'd become friends with. And the way I was monetizing it was helping them do investment deals or helping some of the builders get out of their projects that they had gotten themselves into trouble with. So I started monetizing the agent side of the business.
I remember. And that was under Casa, right?
That's under Casa, right?
Which is brilliant. Which was brilliant.
Still have Casa. So that became what I would call my cash machine, and my wealth machine. We kept buying rentals at a much slower clip. And then I remember waking up again around 2018, 2019. I was like, dude, what are you doing? You need to continue to buy assets, right? I'd been calling a correction from 2013, 2014, 2015. I'm like, it can't continue in this direction. It's been a seller's market forever. Well, here we are, 2026, still a seller's market in our market, right? And and so we pivoted into the brokerage side to create kind of our 30, 60, 90-day cash flow. We added an acquisition arm, right? Doing
Brilliant.
the wholesaling cycle, sell simply. But we really had slowed down a lot of our buying, and I have a certain level of regret that we slowed that down, because when I looked up a decade later and I
Yeah.
saw where all my energy was spent was building teams, which is great. Like I learned a lot
But
there.
that's what you do. That's what you're beautiful at.
Yeah. Thank you.
But that's your expertise, right?
Yeah, now it is, because I
Yeah.
grinded through that thing.
Yeah.
But I looked at where all of my net worth was with the assets that I had purchased,
Yeah.
and I was like, wow, all of my net worth is tied in these properties that I bought in '08 and '09, the majority.
Dead equity, right?
Dead equity.
How do you get access to the dead equity?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which what we did was we took a line once they got paid off, so we paid them off, and they're on 15-year notes. That's like we paid them off with 15-year notes. And then we got a line with Eagle Bank. And then that line is then, an opportunistic line. Like, hey, if we want to fix and flip something, or if we want to lend money on something there. But
Brilliant.
here's the interesting story, though, right? And then we'll get back to you on this. Do you know Rich Levine? Does that name
do. I do.
Greenbrier Lending?
How do you know him?
How do I know? He's the
Wow.
guy that I bought all the rentals with, Charlie.
Because he got us into Freedom Bank of Virginia.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a couple of Rich Levines out there, so you got to make
Oh.
sure it's the right one, right? So Rich is a hard money, like a small private.
But was he affiliated with James Madison Bank?
I don't think so.
Different one. All right, different guy.
I think it's a
different
different
guy.
Rich Levine, right?
It is. Yep.
And so Rich and I knew each other from the .com days, and he'd made a lot of money. And so when I had just mentioned to him, hey, these things were $350, now they're $150. He's the one that funded all those deals. So what happened was around 2011, 2012, 2013, you remember, those were actually really good fix and flip years, right?
They were
'Cause you
great,
could buy
yeah.
them like at really good margins. There wasn't a ton of competition. So
And
we
then,
started.
and then the market was going up at the same
And the market was
time.
going up, right? And so we were fixing and flipping a lot of deals. And the arrangement we had was I was kind of like the agent, find them and dispo them. Mark Beckett was construction, my business partner. He would
Yeah.
manage all the projects, and Rich was the money. But when you start splitting this three ways,
It's tight.
it's tight. Like the juice,
Yeah.
like let's say our average profit was like 60 grand. The project was 4 months long. I mean,
Right.
you're chopping up like $20,000 each.
20. Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, my velocity of money is so much faster on my brokerage side. I could take 3, 4, 5, 8, 6, 10 listings and make $15,000 to $20,000
Right.
a pop.
Exactly.
So I was like, why am I doing this? Right? I
Right.
was like, Rich, you're really good at money, and he really is good at money. Like every penny is accounted for. He's like really good. I was like, you should consider being a hard money lender. And I was like, I have all of these documents from all of these lenders. Let me send them to you. And part of me was trying to get him off. He's listening to this right now, to get him off my back from like chopping it up three ways. I was like, it'd be better if I chopped them up two ways, right? Because I was like, it's the most expensive hard money on the planet, like at that
Yeah.
point. So I was like, take all these documents, and then he made a career in a business and has been, like thrived, and has always kept it private, just himself, but makes a ton of money just lending, his own money. And then I have a line with him with Eagle Bank that we're opportunistic on, right, with stuff.
That's brilliant. But let's get back to the asset piece of it, though, and the market peaking,
Yeah.
the market peaking, the market peaking, and we started getting conservative. One of the things that we learned very early on, and I think you could be a testament to this, is that as long as you're buying into a decent cash flow, right, positive, it doesn't matter what the value of the asset supposedly is, right? Because eventually the cash flow is going to drive the value of the asset anyway,
Yes.
right? Because so even if the market dips and you're allowed to buy, cash flow, eventually the market's going to catch up. And so, we learned that lesson early on, and that's a pretty critical lesson. Again, from scarring and all these things that we talked about earlier, that's a pretty important lesson. So even though we're conservative, we think the market's going to correct. As long as the cash flow is there,
You're good.
yeah, you're good.
You're good. So you pivoted to hard money,
Yep.
and you guys first were lending your own money.
Yeah,
And then
totally.
there's probably a point where you ran out of your own money.
Very quickly.
Okay.
Yeah.
walk me
I'm
through that.
I'm talking 3 months in.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, 3 months in, because we had, I had another great story. We had maybe $2 million maybe 1.5. I don't even remember. So really, we could only do 5, 6 loans, if that, maybe 3 or 4. So what happened was word of mouth came out. People kept coming to me for loans. But what you gotta understand is if I liked the deal, I just said yes, whether or not we had money or not. Sam absolutely lost his mind because I would always say yes. I never said no.
Conservative, yeah.
I never said no because the deal made sense. So then what happened is we had to raise money from friends and family. Remember, people always tell you, don't do business with friends and family because you want to measure friends and you want to keep them as your family. Well, we had to raise money from friends and family, 100,000 a pop, 200,000 a pop. And so we did it based upon a one-page promissory note. We pledged some of our asset. We just personally guaranteed it. We gave them at the time a 10% return. Everybody loved the 10% return. Okay? So we raised a lot of money doing that. We probably raised, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 million bucks. However, here's the problem. Everybody was signing 1-year promissory notes. But the problem was after a year, they didn't want to get out. They wanted to keep going, right? So we would put them on a month-to-month basis. All right. 3 years goes by. We still have a lot of friends and family getting paid out at 10%. Virginia SEC comes knocking on our door. State Corporate Commission. They're like, at that time, we had about $10 million out there in hard money, right? We think 10 million.
Man.
Yeah, we think 10 million is a magic number. They come knocking on our door. They're like, we see that you have a private lending business. We want to see all your wires for the last 3 years. We want to get a list of your supposed investors, and we want to see your promissory note. So we sent it to them, not thinking anything, right? Because we're at this time we're a bunch of dummies. And so they looked at a promissory note. And they said, hey, guys, the 1-year promissory note is fine, but the fact that most of your investors have been with you for 3 or 4 years, that's a problem. We construe that as a bond fund, which means now you're under SEC laws, and SEC laws. We construe you as a bond fund. Now, we could have defended ourselves, but we weren't trying to defend ourselves against the state of Virginia. So then what we did, proactively, we then created a couple of funds. So we organized it as funds. That cost us $35,000, $30,000 for the 506B fund, and then we paid $5,000 for another fund. Same documents, except some things changed, not much.
Not much.
So that's what happened.
Yeah, you just hadn't set up the right fund structure, right? You were just promissory notes the whole time. Yeah, same thing. And so over time, then did you 10% is pretty rich to the investors. Over time, did that change? Did you keep it at 10%?
7.5 and 8.
Yeah. So
No more friends and family.
Okay.
But the partner return is higher than 10, and that enabled me for the foundation. So our partner return is very big because I have a lot of my own money invested in the funds that Sam and Ed do not. Right. So not only am I the fund manager, the fund owner, but I'm also another investor outside of those guys too.
Got it.
They have some of their self-directed IRA money in there or whatever, but I've got a lot of cash in there. And when people hear that, when I'm selling them, like if they're interested in putting money with us, and I'm selling that, the fact that I've got a few $1 million in there of my own money, that's all they need to hear.
Yeah, it goes a long way.
It goes a long way. Yeah,
So,
they just don't know the return that we're getting paid though. Right.
Yeah. So you're getting your 7 to 8%, or they're getting their 7 to 8%,
Right.
and then you're obviously getting your partnership return with your partners.
Right. Which we don't even get a partner. You're gonna laugh at this too. We haven't taken money out of that business except to pay our taxes. Yeah, I know. It doesn't make sense. Yeah, we just take money out once a quarter to pay our quarterly estimates and then shore it up and then throw money in our pension fund and whatever else. We don't even take we take a salary, but it's a salary mandated by the IRS so that we could do certain things.
So so you just take a salary, like you're just
That's
letting
it.
that fund grow. Okay.
Yeah.
And then are you making other chunks of money from other sources, or you're just the salary?
Yeah, we make other chunks from whatever. We have tax lien certificate investing. We own commercial properties. I mean, so, we got that residential rental portfolio. I think it's up to about 55 properties now. That's churning off. Even with the debt that we have on it, it's still churning off about $20,000 a month after everything's
Got it. Got it.
paid.
Got it.
Yeah.
So you're just
Yeah.
compounding that.
That's it.
Yeah, just compounding that. Wow.
That's all we're doing is we're just in this big compounding game because I don't know about you, but I live a very boring lifestyle. I don't need much, man.
Yeah. I learned that. I learned that.
You know, I'm just a normal guy. I like sports. I need to eat. I've got a wife too. I got family. That's it. I just don't, other than,
Private jet.
no, other than traveling every now and then for scuba diving, which those trips aren't very expensive. That's it. I don't want for much.
Yeah.
I grew up lower middle class. You know, we used to bang. You remember the Atari games
Oh yeah.
and the pinball machines?
Oh yeah.
We used to bang nickels with a hammer to get them to a size of a quarter so that we could go play the video games. Yeah.
Yeah. You see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't want for much.
Yeah. It's probably about 8 years ago. I remember thinking, there's not much that I need to be happy, right? Like
Right.
warm cup of coffee with a nice view in the morning,
Yeah.
my wife, the dogs, like
Your friend, hopefully your friends,
yeah,
right?
friends. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
just like that. There's not like, everybody's chasing all these things, and I'm like,
Yeah.
which leads us to impact, right? Like at some
Yeah.
point you kind of get,
Yeah.
you've been playing the game and you're like, okay, what's this next chapter going to look like? Like what am I going to leave as I don't know if you want to call it a
Right.
legacy or,
Right.
or goodwill. And so the business started kind of becoming more of that for us. For me, it was like, hey, can I create economic opportunity for people within my organization? Because I see us as a leadership development incubator. And can I help them build like vertically integrated businesses off of our platform, right? Off of grid. So we could have like different businesses that people can have some stake, some skin in the game, right?
Yes. Yes.
Ownership. And that became part of us, like our impact. And it sounds like you started going down the education route with your partner. So, and your impact is also, what's it called? Clear Sky.
Clear Sky Sports Angels Foundation.
Okay.
Yep.
So how did the education come about? The education model come about for you?
Oh, that's funny. Good question.
And then two, why the sports thing? Like I want to
All right.
explore the sports thing in a little bit. So
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, two great stories on this. Let's start with the education first because I want to really end it up on the sports part of it. I got tired of seeing real estate investment educators try to educate people when they haven't done many deals.
oh yeah.
I just couldn't take it because I went to a lot of meetups. Believe me, I went to a lot of the Casas. I went to a lot of the grids. I went to a lot of Traction. Well, as we know, we know Tom. Traction. I went to Deals and Heels. I went to the Andre Johnston's Deals meetup in Oxon Hill. Man, I've been to so many different Omni Casey's Cash Flow Breakfast Club. I've been to them all, right? And so I just got tired of people educating a big room of people who just hadn't done deals. And as a person who's done a lot of deals, you could pick through when they're talking. You know that they haven't done anything. You could tell. Now they have the book smart, they just don't have the street smart. So I was like, okay, we're going to write a book because I want to write the book because I want to take the book, merge it with the street, and then teach the book in the street. Because it doesn't do you any good to know the book, the knowledge, if you don't have the street part of that to actually do deals. And so that's how the education piece started. Curtis, my son, thought, let's go on social media. Let's do all this posting and likes and this and that. And let's go ahead and launch this nationwide and let's make this into a $10 million a year business. And I told him, if we could make it into a $100,000 a year business and we could just break even, I'm good. Because I really want to teach and help these people. This is what I'm all about. I'm all about coaching and teaching. This is my forte, right? And so that's the reason why we're in this business. It's not to make money, even though if he heard this podcast, he might quit. but we realized that, hey, what's going on is driving our hard money business.
Yeah.
But that's an ancillary benefit. That was never the benefit. That was ancillary.
Yeah.
So that's why I got into the education spot because for years I had been speaking at all these different meetups. And I don't know if you realize this, Amina Basic and a couple of your causes, I spoke at a bunch of your offshoots. And I still speak to this day to your grids, whether it's how to find distressed assets, whether if it's how to find the money, whether it's the contracting piece, how to evaluate, whether it's the commercial, how to do commercial investing, all these different topics I've done in your groups. But I enjoy that because I feel that people learn from actual live deals and live case studies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Give them, give them the book smarts and then follow it up with some deals, and that's how they learn. And we backed into it.
Yeah, it's interesting. People would always ask me early on, like, why are you training your competition? And I was like, I never saw it that way. I was like, if I teach you how to do it, we will do deals together. I just know it, right? It's social currency. Like it comes back around. And so that's what happened was it just became such a big, massive deal flow for our business. And I'm like, yeah, this is a way to acquire a customer and reduce my cost to acquire a customer by educating and building trust. This is a trust transference exercise. So people don't fully comprehend, but once you get it, you're like, oh, I do good and make money?
Right. No. I know, but you left out the most important part. What just happened? You just created a lifelong relationship.
Yes. Yeah, no, 100%, right?
Right?
Yeah, I always say our job is just to make friends.
That's it.
My job is to make friends.
Make friends. And one thing you can't do, you cannot lie and you cannot break that trust. That trust is the most important thing. And then you're your friends. It's the relationships, because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. Because even for us, right, this is probably the thing I'm the most proud of, actually, is even for us with the students, and they're finding deals, they're making a bunch of money. You know what they're starting to do? They're actually starting to come back to me and give me a check here or there so I could use it for the foundation.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And that is awesome.
Well, talk to me about the foundation. How did that come about?
Here's how it came about. Lower middle class. My dad worked for the government, $50,000 salary, 5 kids, my parents. My brother and sister shared a bedroom. I had my own bedroom. We didn't have much money. And my parents didn't pay for things for me to do, like sports activities and stuff. And so I was in high school, and I was a very good basketball player. I was football, basketball, believe it or not, golf. I played golf just so I could play at the golf course for free. And so I ended up being a really, really good basketball player. Well, my sophomore and junior year, we went to a team camp. I think it was $110, right? We couldn't afford it. My parents wouldn't do it. They couldn't afford it. And so I cut grass, I washed cars, I did all these things you do as a kid. I had a paper route. And so I got all this loose change. So I got to the camp to pay for the camp, and I took out a bunch of dollar bills and $5 bills and coins and this and that because I counted it up so I could pay for the camp. Well, the head coach looked at me. He knew me. He looked at me and said, "What are you doing, man? Can't you write a check or put it on a credit card or this or that?" I said, "No." I said, "This is how I have to pay because, I don't want to tell them about my parents. I was embarrassed." Mm-hmm. And so that's how, because of that camp, I did really well. He kept me on the varsity my junior and senior year. Senior year, I did really, really well. We won the district. I had like 19 points in the district championship game, cutting down the nets. Yeah. But this started the launch of my success. Now, what had happened was that the head coach ended up moving up, Board of County Supervisors. He's an education board. Then he started doing motivational speaking across the country. Mm-hmm. Well, guess what the first part of his speaking was? It was the Charlie Einsmann story. About how I was some little poor skinny white kid having to pay for camp with my dollars and my pennies. And that propagated me. The success of athletics and the success of sports helped propagate me in my career and my future. Right. It helped get me an academic scholarship. So now let's fast forward this 30 years, right? Well, there's a big social divide going on in athletics and sports. When I was growing up, the inner city kids that played basketball and football, this was the way for them to get out of the inner city. This was their only hope, right? Nowadays, the playing field has changed. The kids getting the scholarships in basketball and football are now suburb kids. They're suburb kids who come from middle-class families, semi-wealthy, who can afford trainers and athletic trainers. These lower-income kids don't have a chance. And so then I was like, okay, I'd already been part of a nonprofit, Catholics for Housing, which is now creating Foundations for Hope. They were a nonprofit in the affordable housing space. So I was on the board of directors for that for like 12 or 13 years. I was a president for 4 or 5 years. I ran the charity. But I bought a distressed trailer park to help the charity out, right? It's a $40,000 or $50,000 cash flow, $20,000 expenses. They're profiting $30,000 a month, but it's enabling them to be in the low-income housing space. So I learned everything I needed to know about nonprofits, how to run one, how to raise money, and how to do all this stuff. But the problem with nonprofits is raising money, man. It's hard. Nobody wants to knock on a door and raise $500.
Yeah, it's tough.
Not me. I'm not on that program. So I created a perpetual charity with Catholics for Housing, and now that's self-sustaining because of the real estate we own. Okay, so fast forwarded to my Clear Sky Sports Angels idea. So I was like, okay, well, I want to be the giver to families that have disadvantaged kids to allow them to play travel sports, right? But I've always been giving my own money to those causes, but I was giving them directly to the families. So now I'm like, okay, I need to make a bigger impact. I'm going to create Clear Sky Sports Angels as a foundation. I'm going to seed it with money, and the operating money is going to be driven from the interest and the dividend expenses coming off the investments, just like a college foundation or college endowment. So that's how it all happened. And so one of our kids, he just graduated from Tennessee. He didn't graduate from Tennessee. He played there 1 year in basketball. Nate Amit's his name. He's going to $3.5 million go to Tennessee, $2.5 million Reebok contract is going to be in the first round of the NBA draft. Wow. The trainers that trained him, we have very good connections with these guys. I've got connections throughout the entire DMV of the AAU in basketball. I know everybody. I know all the big players. And through them, I know the disadvantaged kids, and that's who we're going to help. It's not just basketball, though. It's soccer. It's lacrosse. I have a BMX bike team. Matter of fact, one of your leaders, Patrick, in Grid Woodbridge, has the BMX bike team. I've been sponsoring this BMX bike team for 5 years.
Oh my God, that's so crazy. Yeah. That's so cool, man.
Yeah, and so now I've formalized Clear Sky Sports Angels Foundation. Now it's a foundation in perpetuality, and I couldn't be more happy about that.
Man, that's amazing. I love that story.
Yeah.
Did you know that I wrestled in college?
I did. I'm impressed.
Yeah, I wrestled in college, and do you know Alan Meltzer? Does that ring a bell?
I know the name.
Yeah. So Alan, he's a phenom, right? He probably one of the greatest life insurance salespeople on the entire planet, right? Like he's just like an absolute phenom, and he's who I worked for when I was in college. And he would come into American University and work out with me. We were the same size, same weight.
Cool. Awesome.
And he, I was like, who is this guy, right? Like, who is this guy? And they're like, hey, he's the one that, like, the name on the building, right, or the plaque, like, it's him, right? I was like, oh, cool. Anyhow, he's the guy that really got me into thinking like a business owner and thinking like an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I find so fascinating to this day is that he has saved that AU wrestling program multiple times from just dying, right? Because it requires energy and money and capital and people that want the care, right? And he's rallied the troops around it. And the reason being is because wrestling changed his life, right? American University changed his life. The skills that he learned, the network that he made, just everything about it. It's like he's just so connected to that. And he just donated a huge wing. They just built a big wing called the Alan and Amy Performance Complex or something like that. I mean, it is absolutely drop dead gorgeous at AU, right? I went there for the grand opening earlier this year.
Isn't that great?
But it's these things that touch us when we're on the journey that end up really revealing what the real impact is that we want to create in the world, right? And his has been giving, like he's a giver, right? Gives to programs, gives to charities, gave to a young kid that didn't know what he wanted to do, right? I remember him asking me, like, what do you want to do when you graduate college? I'm like, be a business guy. And he's like, you're just going to come work for me. I was a psych major, for God's
We have
sake.
no idea.
I had no idea. I didn't know.
No idea.
None. Like I told you, I was dating
Zero.
my girl from the Cayman Islands, and
Yeah.
I was island hopping, and wrestling had been my life for like a decade.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know, right? But I found him, and I found, believe it or not, waiting tables, like tips, and being tending bar, like at Cafe Deluxe in DC. Like that was another of those pivotal jobs that I had. I'm like, oh, I'm good with people, and I'm competitive with money, and I like earning more tips and understanding the scripting around it, and so that gave me some clues that I should probably go in something that's with people, right?
Yeah.
But that's how we end up creating impact. So
You got to create it.
at GridCon, we definitely want to promote the like, I want to support any way I can, Charlie, because I think that, like, one, I love the story. I had a dear friend of mine, Jake Scott, who did something similar to this in the inner city in DC. He was Mr. DC one time for underprivileged kids around wrestling, because it's like, it's a forgotten sport for a lot of people, right?
But that is something that we would give to, for sure.
Beat the Streets, I think it was called, or something like
For
that.
sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very cool.
Yes.
That's cool. So you'd be the conduit for those kind of programs. Is that what you're saying?
That's right.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's just wonderful. But we're just getting started, literally.
High school, middle school, elementary school, doesn't matter?
Nope.
Okay.
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because some of these kids, even though they're 15, 16, 17 years old, they come from one-parent families too. Mm-hmm. And they don't have that, the mom's working 2-3 jobs, they need that support. They need the, maybe go to a college visit. They might need to pay for a college visit. They might need to pay for a hotel stay at an AAU tournament or something, or travel soccer, right? The need comes in all forms and fashion. It's just, and the funny thing about it is you just don't know the need. You have to rely on other people to kind of tell you the need, because one of the things that we're doing is it's already formalized. We're giving to the organizations, right? So the organization is who we're giving to, but we're making sure the organization knows who that money is going towards. And then they'll report back to us on who's getting the money. So I don't have to figure out every needy kid in America or DC or Virginia. Starting off in Virginia, but we do have a relationship that we're creating it with DC. It's an after-school program for the kids in Anacostia. Matter of fact, we're donating a building to those guys that we got from tax lien certificate investing. So we're donating it, raising it, part of their property. Oh yeah, there's just so many good stories. And for this nonprofit, it's just getting started. We haven't even started marketing it yet, but we're about ready to, because we got to get the branding right. We got to get the logo right. We got to get all this stuff perfect, and that's the way it is.
Charlie, let's leave with this. There's somebody listening to this podcast right now that's just getting started in their journey, and we've talked about a lot. What advice would you give to that young entrepreneur? What advice would you give to that person who's starting on this journey of real estate investing? Because it's such a big word. How would you explain to them?
There's a few things I would get started with. Number one, take in as much investment material as you can. I would say read as many books as you can, but in this day and age, people don't really read books much anymore. They take in their content through the internet. So I would get as much investment content as you can, number one. Number two, I would show up to as many meetups as you can show up to. And it doesn't matter what meetup it is, whether it's Grid or whether it's Cash Flow Breakfast Club or whether it's our Deals meetup or whether it's Traction or whether it's whatever. Just show up to as many as possible. Just spend your time getting to know people and talk to them. Build your network and build your team. And then the third thing I would say is, if you're getting into the real estate game, the first thing that you have to learn is the distressed asset space. And so with the combo of those three things, that should get you going. Yeah.
It's great advice. And when you say get into the distressed asset game, You're saying going after pre-foreclosure markets. You're
Yeah,
saying probate.
I'm saying it all. Yep.
It's the whole thing. Yeah, just
Yeah.
understand,
Yeah. Just
understand,
understand it.
understand. What the ARV is. Understand what something costs to fix up. Understand what
Yep.
the margin is in order to purchase it to make a profit. Like you got to get those
Yeah, you
basic
got to understand
things
all
down.
that. Yeah, the hardest part with most real estate investors is the renovation piece. I mean, they could go to an agent and say, "Hey, tell me the ARV on this." They know what the foreclosing deed of trust is. They know hopefully their buy price. The hardest part is the renovation piece. To
Yeah,
learn that, they
yeah,
got to be able
totally
to learn
understand.
it. But you can't spin the wheels of contractors unless you're using them. And
Yeah,
so it's sort of like a chicken before the egg.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
That's why we went deep on construction on ourselves. Like my business partner Mark runs market ready remodeling. It's like
Smart. It's
that's
brilliant.
that's what he that's what he was good at. Like that's what he
Yep.
he wanted to do. So, Charlie, thank you so much, man,
Yep.
for pouring into our grid community and for being part of the Income Flip podcast. I look forward to seeing you at GridCon just a
Thank
few
you.
weeks away. And for those that are listening right now, GridCon, June 1st, June 2nd. We've got investors from all over the country, from San Francisco, New
Yeah.
York, LA, right? All descending down on Tyson's Corner those 2 days. Tyson's Corner, actually, day one, Vallow Park. Day two, the winery at Bull Run for operators. Hope to see you there. Thanks, Charlie.
Thank you very much.